I'm Adrian and I just turned 21. My family had more important plans than celebrating my milestone birthday, which honestly is just how it's always been. My name is Adrian and I just turned 21. You'd think that would be a big deal. A significant milestone worthy of at least a minor celebration, maybe a small family dinner, a grocery store cake, a few half-hearted but obligatory happy birthday texts. But no, my family had more important plans. I wish I could say I was shocked, but honestly, this is just the way it's always been. The familiar bitter wallpaper of my life. My parents have made it abundantly clear since childhood that I am and always will be second place in this family. My younger sister, Isla, is the golden child, the sun around which our family universe orbits. If she wants something, she gets it. If she needs attention, the world stops. And if I want anything that even slightly inconveniences them, too bad. I grew up in a house where love was a finite resource, and it was allocated almost entirely to Isla. I remember my 10th birthday. I had asked for one thing, a trip to the Natural History Museum to see the dinosaur exhibit my dad had promised. But the morning of my birthday, Isla, then 8, threw a tantrum because she wanted to go to the mall to buy a dress for her friend's upcoming party. I watched, my heart sinking, as my parents exchanged a weary glance and my birthday plans were summarily canceled. We'll go to the museum another time, Adrian, my mom said, not even looking at me as she helped Isla pick out a pair of shoes. Your sister is very upset right now. Another time never came. The dinosaur exhibit moved on, and so did my childhood hope that my desires mattered. This pattern repeated itself endlessly. When I made the honor roll in high school, my certificate was briefly acknowledged before being placed on the fridge, only to be covered a day later by a newspaper clipping of Isla winning a local soccer tournament. When I got my driver's license, I was given a stern lecture about insurance costs and the responsibility of driving the family's old beat-up sedan. When Isla turned 16, a brand new convertible, a garish red thing she had been dreaming of, appeared in the driveway. A giant bow on its hood, I was expected to be happy for her, to celebrate her joy while swallowing my own quiet resentment. Still, even with 2 decades of evidence to the contrary, I held on to this tiny stubborn sliver of hope that this year, for my 21st birthday, things would be different. I don't live at home anymore. I moved into an apartment closer to my university 2 years ago, a move that was less about convenience and more about self-preservation. The distance has helped, but I thought surely on my 21st birthday, a legally significant milestone, they would want to celebrate both their children, right? I texted the family group chat that morning, my fingers hovering over the screen with a familiar mix of hope and dread. Hey, what time are we meeting for dinner? I hit send and tried to go about my day, expecting a response to pop up at any moment. Hours passed. The silence from my phone was deafening. By 3 p.m., the familiar sinking feeling was settling in my gut. I finally gave in and called my mom, hating the feeling of neediness in my own actions. She picked up on the second ring, her voice breezy and casual. Hey Adrian, what's up? I hesitated, the question feeling foolish even as I asked it. We're still doing dinner tonight, right? A beat of silence, then a sigh, heavy with manufactured regret. Oh honey, she said, her voice dripping with a sweetness that felt more insulting than any anger could. I should have told you earlier. We're going out tonight with Isla. My stomach dropped, a cold, hard stone of disappointment. You're what? She sounded almost bored, as if my birthday was a minor administrative detail she had simply forgotten. Isla has some exciting news, so we're taking her out to her favorite restaurant to celebrate. I blinked, the words catching in my throat. It's my birthday. She laughed then, a light, dismissive sound, as if I were a little kid whining about a broken toy. Oh Adrian, don't be so dramatic. It's just a number. We'll do something for you next weekend, okay? In the background, I heard Isla's voice, clear and mocking. Is that Adrian? Tell him we'll save him some leftovers. More laughter followed, a sound that felt like a physical slap across the face. My face heated with a sudden white-hot fury. This wasn't just neglect. This wasn't a simple oversight. This was a deliberate, casual cruelty. I could have argued. I could have yelled, screamed about the years of being second best. But what was the point? They knew exactly what they were doing. They just didn't care. So I swallowed the thick lump of anger and hurt in my throat and said, my voice dangerously calm, yeah, sure, have fun. And then I hung up. I sat there for a long moment staring at my phone, my hands shaking. Not from sadness, not anymore. I was furious. A deep, cold, and strangely clarifying anger began to solidify inside me. And then I had an idea. I called my girlfriend Maya. Hey, I said, forcing my voice to sound even and casual. Want to go out for a nice dinner tonight? She, of course, could tell something was wrong immediately. Of course. What's going on? You sound off. I told her everything. The text, the call, the laughter, the leftovers. She listened in silence, and when I was done, she didn't hesitate for a second. Come over. Now. My parents will want to celebrate with you too. Now, I absolutely love Maya's parents. In the 3 years I've been with Maya, they have shown me more genuine kindness and affection than my own parents have in my entire life. They ask about my classes, they remember the names of my friends, they treat me like a son. When I got to their house, Maya's mom, Sarah, greeted me at the door with a warm, enveloping hug. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Come in, come in. We're going somewhere nice to celebrate you. We ended up at a high-end steakhouse downtown, the kind of place my parents love to brag about going to for their own anniversaries. The entire night was perfect. Maya's dad, Mark, a man of quiet strength and deep kindness, ordered a bottle of expensive champagne specifically to toast to me turning 21. They listened as I talked about my plans for the future. They laughed at my stupid jokes, and for the first time that day, for the first time in a long time, in the presence of a family, I actually felt seen. I felt wanted. But the real fun, the part where this story takes a turn, that happened when I decided to post about it. After dinner, as we were leaving, I took a picture of the restaurant's elegant, warmly lit entrance. I posted it on my Instagram with a caption I typed out with a steady, deliberate hand. Huge thank you to my girlfriend and her amazing family for making my 21st birthday so special. So incredibly grateful to have people in my life who actually care about me. I wasn't expecting an immediate response from my family. I figured they wouldn't even see it until the next day, if at all. But less than an hour later, as we were all sitting in Maya's living room, my phone started blowing up first. A text from my mom, sharp and accusatory. Adrian, what is this post? Then one from my dad. Adrian, are you serious right now? Then a full-on phone call from my mother. I let it ring. A small, triumphant smirk playing on my lips. Then another call. Then another. They were fuming and I knew exactly why. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't a sudden pang of regret for having hurt their son. It was pure, unadulterated jealousy and wounded pride. They were the ones who were supposed to be seen as the good, generous parents. They loved curating the perfect family image online, posting glossy photos from their fancy dinners and writing saccharine captions about how proud they were of Isla. But suddenly, I was the one getting attention, sympathy even, for being wronged by them. And they absolutely hated that. I finally picked up on the the fourth call, keeping my voice as casual and unbothered as I could muster. Oh, hey mom, what's up? She went off, her voice a shrill torrent of indignation. What in the world are you doing, Adrian? People are seeing this. Our friends, your aunts, your uncles. You're making us look bad. I had to hold the phone away from my ear, fighting back a laugh. I'm just thanking the people who actually showed up for my birthday, I said simply. She gasped, a sound of pure theatrical outrage. How dare you try to embarrass us like this? You know we would have celebrated with you if we didn't have prior commitments. I snorted. Oh, right. Isla's exciting news. Was the new pair of shoes she bought really that life-changing? We raised you, Adrian, she snapped, her voice rising in pitch. And this is how you repay us? By making us look like bad parents on the internet? I was done. So completely and utterly done. I took a deep, steadying breath and said, my voice cold and clear, if you didn't want to look like bad parents, you probably shouldn't have acted like bad parents. A stunned silence on the other end. Then my dad got on the phone, his voice a low growl. You need to take that post down, now. I grinned. A real, genuine grin of pure defiance. No, Adrian, his voice was low, threatening, a tone he hadn't used with me since I was a teenager. If you don't take it down, there will be consequences. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a strange sense of calm settle over me. Oh, like what? He didn't answer right away. I could hear my mom whispering furiously in the background. Then he said, with all the authority he could muster, we're coming over. And that, Reddit, is where things got really, really interesting. I leaned forward, gripping my phone as my dad's words echoed in my ear. We're coming over. A rush of adrenaline, sharp and electric, shot through me, but I kept my voice preternaturally steady. All right, I said, barely able to contain the smirk in my voice. See you soon. Then I hung up. Maya, who had been sitting next to me on the couch, her leg pressed against mine in a silent show of support, raised an eyebrow. That was your parents, wasn't it? Oh yeah, I said, shaking my head with a small, incredulous laugh. They're furious. Apparently, I've embarrassed them. Maya rolled her eyes with a theatrical sigh. Heaven forbid they have to deal with the natural consequences of their own selfish actions. Her dad, Mark, who had been listening from his armchair across the room, let out a short, sharp scoff. Let them come. They should see what an actual loving family looks like. Her mom, Sarah, ever the voice of reason and calm, sighed softly. This might get ugly. Adrian, are you sure you want to deal with them tonight, on your birthday? I exhaled slowly, the air leaving my lungs in a long, steady stream. Honestly, yeah, I do. For the first time, I felt like I was in the driver's seat of my own life. I had spent 21 years letting them treat me like an afterthought. A piece of furniture they only noticed when they tripped over it. I had spent years watching them drop everything for Isla, while I was expected to just understand, to just deal with it. And for the first time, I had the upper hand. They were desperate, scrambling to regain control of the narrative, to polish their tarnished public image. That meant I was finally doing something right. About 20 minutes later, a time filled with a strange, buzzing anticipation, I heard the unmistakable sound of a car pulling into the driveway. Its tires crunching on the gravel with an aggressive haste, I stood up, stretching languidly as if I had all the time in the world, while Maya gave my arm an encouraging squeeze. You got this, she murmured. The doorbell rang. No, that's too gentle a word. It was slammed, 3 rapid, percussive chimes that echoed through the quiet house. Oh, they're mad, mad. Mark chuckled from his chair and made his way toward the door. I'll get it. The second he opened the door, my mom stormed in like a conquering general, her face a thunderous mask of fury. My dad followed a half step behind, his jaw tight, his eyes immediately locking onto me across the room. Adrian, my mom's voice was sharp, a weapon designed to cut through the air and command attention. We need to talk, now. I crossed my arms, refusing to be intimidated. Go ahead, I'm listening. Her gaze flickered around the room, taking in Sarah and Mark, the cozy, lived-in atmosphere. The clear evidence that I was fine, thriving even, without them. The sight of it clearly unsettled her. Not here, she said stiffly, her voice a low hiss. Come outside. No thanks, I said, leaning casually against the back of the couch. If you have something to say, you can say it right here, in front of everyone. My dad's fists clenched at his sides. Enough with the attitude, Adrian. I raised an eyebrow, a gesture of pure, unadulterated defiance. Attitude? Oh, you mean this new thing I'm trying called standing up for myself? Sorry, I'm still getting the hang of this whole having self-respect thing. It's a bit foreign to me. My mom let out a sharp, incredulous breath, her patience wearing visibly thin. We are not going to let you publicly shame us like this. Do you have any idea how many people have seen that post? Your aunts? Your uncles? My friends from the club? Do you know how humiliating it is to have our own son paint us as villains? I blinked at her, then deadpanned. Maybe don't be villains then. From the couch, Maya snorted, and I saw even Mark fight back a chuckle. My mom's face turned a blotchy shade of red. We are your parents, Adrian. We deserve some respect. Oh, respect? I shot back, the dam of my own restraint finally breaking. You mean like the respect you showed me when you ditched me on my 21st birthday? Or the respect you showed when you laughed at me on the phone? Or the respect you've shown me every single day of my life when you've made it abundantly clear that Isla will always come first? Sorry, I must have missed the part where you actually did anything to earn my respect. My dad took a threatening step forward, his voice a low growl. You're being dramatic. No, I said, my voice ringing with a newfound clarity. For the first time in my life, I'm finally being honest. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. My parents weren't used to this. They were used to me backing down, apologizing for my own feelings, folding under the slightest pressure, but not this time. Then my mom's gaze landed on Maya, more specifically, on the way she was sitting so comfortably beside me, her hand resting on my arm, a silent, unwavering pillar of support. And that's when I saw it, the flicker of realization in my mother's eyes. The moment she truly understood that I had people now, people who weren't obligated by blood to love me, but who chose to anyway, people who saw my worth, something she had never bothered to look for, and she hated it. So this is what this is about, she said, her voice dripping with a corrosive condescension. You're trying to replace us with them. Maya stiffened beside me, but I just shrugged, a casual gesture that I knew would infuriate my mother. If the shoe fits, my dad scoffed. Enough of this nonsense. You're taking that post down, now. I grinned, a wide, challenging grin. No! His nostrils flared. Adrian, don't test me. Or what? I challenged, my voice laced with a confidence I had never felt before. What exactly are you going to do? Ground me? Take away my phone? Oh wait, you can't, because I don't live under your roof anymore. I pay my own bills. I make my own decisions. You have zero control over me? That hit a nerve. My dad's face turned an ugly mottled shade of red, and for a second, I thought he might actually lose it. My mom, on the other hand, had gone eerily, dangerously quiet, and that's when she played what she thought was her trump card. You're going to regret this, Adrian, she said softly, her voice a silken threat. You don't realize what you're throwing away. I tilted my head, genuinely curious. What am I throwing away exactly? She gave me a slow, knowing look, a look look that was meant to put me back in my place, to remind me of my dependence. A look that sent a cold, familiar chill down my spine, and then she said the words she was so sure would bring me to my knees. Your inheritance? I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not a small chuckle, but a full, genuine laugh that came from deep in my belly. It was almost instinctual, a reflex I couldn't possibly hold back. I looked at my mom, my eyes narrowing, and let out a short, bitter laugh that echoed in the tense silence of the room. Inheritance? I echoed, still chuckling in disbelief. What inheritance? You think I need your money? You really, truly don't get it, do you? She froze, her face a mask of confusion. This was not the reaction she had expected. I leaned forward, my arms crossed, my laughter subsiding into a cold, hard smile. You have never done anything for me. Not really. You've made it clear every single chance you've gotten that I am not important enough for your time, your energy, or your love. So please, spare me the lecture about what I'm throwing away, because guess what? You've got nothing left to give me that I actually want. My mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish, her face twisting in a chaotic mix of confusion and rising anger. And if you think for one second that I would ever accept anything from you after all of this, you're delusional, I continued, shaking my head. I don't need your money. I don't need your fake conditional love. You have already given me everything I need to know about who you are, and it's nothing I'm willing to keep in my life. My dad looked like he was about to explode. He took a deep, shuddering breath, his fists clenched tightly at his sides. You're ungrateful? After everything we've given you, you really want to throw it all away? I almost felt a flicker of pity for him, but then I remembered that he had a choice every single day to be a real parent. He could have stood up for me. He could have pushed back against my mother's casual cruelty. He never did. No, I'm not ungrateful, I said calmly, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't see the kind of people you are. You made your choices, and now I'm making mine. Across the room, Mark gave me a slow, reassuring nod, his eyes filled with a quiet pride that felt more validating than a lifetime of my own father's hollow praise. I noticed my mom flinched at the small, silent exchange, and I couldn't help but feel a small, sharp sense of triumph. She had been so consumed with controlling every aspect of my life that she'd never stopped to consider that I might actually be better off without her. You can't just cut us out of your life like this, my mom said, her voice trembling now with a desperate, frantic edge. We're your family. You'll regret this, Adrian. You'll come crawling back. Right, I said sarcastically. I'll be right there, begging for more of your empty promises and casual disrespect. But that's never going to happen because you've already shown me who you really are. I stood up then, my legs feeling surprisingly steady, as if a great weight had been lifted from them. I'm done. So if you want to keep throwing threats and guilt trips at me, go ahead. But just know, I am not falling for it anymore. My dad opened his mouth again, but this time he just snapped it shut. They had nothing left. The arsenal of power they once held over me, the manipulation, the control, the emotional blackmail, it was empty. My mom's eyes were practically burning with a helpless fury, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I turned to Maya's parents, giving them a nod of genuine appreciation. Thanks for letting me have this moment, I said softly, but I think it's time for them to leave. Sarah, ever the calm one, smiled gently and stood up. Mark followed suit, his presence solid and unwavering. The silence between us stretched, thick and suffocating, as my parents stood there still processing the new reality I had just thrown at them. They had no idea what to do with me anymore. I stood there feeling more powerful than I ever had in my entire life. It wasn't just that I was finally standing up to them, it was the profound, liberating realization that I no longer cared about their approval. Finally, my dad spoke again, his voice low and dangerous, a last-ditch effort to reclaim some semblance of authority. You think this is funny? You think you're going to get away with treating us like this? I locked eyes with him, completely unfazed. Get away with it, Dad. I've been trying to get away from you for years. The words hung in the air, stark, painful, and undeniably true. My mom, still fuming, tried one last desperate tactic, her voice softening into a cloying, manipulative purr. Adrian, we're your parents. We've always been here for you. Don't you remember all we've done for you? How we've always supported you? I shook my head, a genuine, mirthless laugh escaping my lips. Really? Is that what you think? Because I don't remember any of it. I remember being ignored, pushed aside, and made to feel like I wasn't good enough. I remember always being the last choice. But sure, if you want to pretend that you've been perfect, go ahead. Her face twisted in a mixture of shock and fury. She hadn't expected me to fight back like this. This is your fault, Adrian. My mom spat, her voice shaking with rage. You're the one destroying this family. You think you can just replace us with them? I looked at her, my eyes cold. No, Mom, you've been replacing me my whole life. This is just me finally realizing that I don't need you anymore, and you've already lost. She took a step forward, her eyes burning. I am your mother. You will never get rid of me. I held up a hand, cutting her off. I don't need to get rid of you. You've already done that to yourself. You've pushed me away for years. You've made it perfectly clear where your priorities lie, and I am not on that list. Mark stepped forward then, his calm, steady demeanor cutting through the toxic tension. I think it's time for you two to leave, now. His voice was quiet but unshakable, and the finality in his tone made it clear there would be no more discussion. My mom stared at him, fury flashing in her eyes, but even she knew she was losing. My dad muttered something under his breath and started to walk toward the door. His shoulders slumped in defeat. They both walked out without another word, the front door slamming shut behind them with a sound of jarring finality. I stood there for a moment, the silence of the room roaring in my ears, still processing everything that had just happened. It was surreal. Maya came over and wrapped her arms around me, holding me tight. You did it, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. You stood up for yourself. I'm so proud of you. I hugged her back, feeling a rush of pure, unadulterated relief wash over me. I don't even know how I did it, I murmured into her hair. It's like they don't have any power over me anymore. Her parents came over, giving me encouraging pats on the back, but it was Maya's words that truly stuck with me. You're not alone anymore, she said, pulling back to look me in the eyes. We've got your back, always. The heavy, crushing weight that had been sitting on my chest for 21 years had finally lifted. For the first time, I could breathe without that constant, suffocating pressure. I could see a future where I didn't have to beg for scraps of love or attention. A future where I made my own choices, where I was in control. The whole night felt like a strange, surreal blur, but I knew one thing for sure. I had finally, irrevocably, stood up for myself, and I was never going back. Just as I started to relax, my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. We're not done here. You'll regret this. We'll be contacting the lawyer about your inheritance. You'll pay for this. I could almost hear her shrill, venomous voice, but it didn't scare me. It was amusing. I showed the message to Maya, who let out a soft laugh. Is she serious? Dead serious, I muttered, but there was no fear in my voice. I hit the reply button, my fingers moving with a newfound confidence. You're right, you won't be done here, but I'll tell you this. Keep your money, keep your inheritance. And when you decide you want to talk to me like an adult, without the threats and the manipulation, manipulation, you know where to find me, but don't bother trying anything else. It won't work. I hit send. Just as I put my phone down, it buzzed again. This time it was my dad, a string of angry voice notes. I clicked on the first one, listening to him rant about how I was ruining my life, how I was throwing everything away. The insults, the empty threats, none of it hit home. I didn't even bother replying. My phone buzzed again, a text from my sister. Mom and Dad are furious with you. You really messed up this time. I could feel the old anger bubbling up, but this time I wasn't going to let it control me. I wasn't going to play her game. Instead of replying, I looked at Maya, smiling warmly. You know what? I said, standing up. I think it's time for a celebration. I grabbed my jacket, turning to Maya's parents with a grin. Let's go grab some drinks. We've got a lot to celebrate. As we left, I didn't feel the bitterness or regret I had expected. I felt like I was finally walking away from a life that had been holding me back into a future that was mine to shape. As I stepped out into the cool night air, I realized that the family I had been searching for, the family I had been longing for my entire life, had been here all along, not in the people I was born to, but in the ones who chose to stand by me, who supported me, who cared about me unconditionally. I didn't need their approval anymore. I didn't need their toxic love or their constant manipulation. I had found something better, and nothing, not even their money or their empty threats, could ever take that away from me. And that, for the first time in my life, felt like true, unadulterated freedom. 83.5 seconds. Use arrow up and arrow down to select a turn, enter to jump to it, and escape to return to the chat.